Hello, everybody. Welcome to Happy Hour Sports Talk, where every hour is happy hour when we're talking about sports. I, of course, am the Brofix one, AJ. Hoping you're having a great Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. We got some stuff to talk about. That we do. We've got the Final Four being set. We'll get into a little bit of that. Some trouble in paradise in the golf world. We'll get to that. NFL league meetings going on. MLB's ABS system may not be as bad as everyone was thinking. And we'll see if there's anything else I want to throw out there. But before I go any further, do want to take a moment, shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube, however you're listening, however you're watching. Thank you all. If you like what we're cooking, please hit that like button, hit the follow button. It does help us out a lot more than you know. But let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Let's get into it because we have had, in my opinion, I really don't think it's that much of a stretch, and we'll get to it in a little bit. But I do think one of the better March Madness tournaments we've had in a long time. And I'll explain why in a moment. But we have the Final Four set: UConn, Illinois, Arizona, Michigan, going at it this Saturday to play on Monday for the national championship. So the rest of the games being taken place in Indianapolis, Indiana. And what an Elite Eight. Let's go ahead and just start there. What an Elite Eight. What a Sweet 16. Great games all around. Duke and St. John's. Let's start with Duke and UConn. Let's start with Duke and UConn. What a shot. What a shot. What a moment. And what a breakdown by Duke at the end of the day. Just what a breakdown by Duke. And I was saying coming into this tournament, this doesn't feel like one of those Duke teams of old. I know, even of the last couple of years, the other Duke teams have just felt more dominant. You felt more secure in what they were able to do on the court. And don't get me wrong, this Duke team performed well. They performed well. John Schneider, hell of a head coach. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about that. But it just seemed a lack of experience in that moment, lack of awareness almost with the boozer. It just wasn't a good play to end the half there. I don't know if it was coaching. I don't know if it was just being too much not in there, but then the shot to hit it. I mean, what a shot to send Duke home in the Elite Eight. Absolutely poetry. This is March. That is what we've been waiting for. That is what we love about this tournament. And that's why I do think it's been one of the better tournaments we've seen in the last couple of years. Almost every single game has been competitive, has been close, has been on the edge of your seats, almost which way it's going to go at some point. The games of Arizona and Michigan, even though they've ended as blowouts at one point or another, were competitive basketball games and good basketball games. And that's just what we've been seeing all around. And Arizona, Purdue, Arizona just able to step into the second half. That was a game of two halves. That was one of the worst halves of basketball I've seen this Arizona team play all season long. And then able to come back in the second half, refocus, reset defensively and offensively, and putting Purdue in a blender the rest of the game. Shout out to the boys, absolutely getting it done. And hey, we're going to the Final Four for the first time since 2001. I couldn't be more excited. Congratulations to Tommy Lloyd and the boys. But hey, a lot of work to be done still. And I think they still have that on their mind as they are preparing to go up against Michigan. And let's be real. Hey, let's be real. I'm a realistic human being. I'm not going to sit here and be a homeboy and say, a homer and just say, yeah, no, U of A's got this. They're going all the way, yada, yada, even though I do believe that. But this Michigan team's unreal. Defensively, offensively, everything they're saying is true. Don't get me wrong. Is it as true as everyone is, coming, saying and hyping it up as much? Yeah, absolutely. Look at what their road to the Final Four, to the Final Four has been. It's been beatdown after beatdown after beatdown. Granted, Howard in the first round, not too many people probably hopping on that train going into March. And then, St. Louis just outmatched there. Alabama, let's be real. A lot of people thought that was, a paper dragon or whatever the hell, that paper tiger, I think is the phrase. Is that what the phrase is? I'm not 100% sure, but, and then Tennessee, which, hey, shout out to Tennessee. Is it a Cinderella? Is it a Cinderella? I have not been able to bring myself to call Texas, to call Tennessee a Cinderella. And I get it. Like, I do. I kind of get why people, you would, because of where the seating is, but it's hard to look at these big power conference teams that are spending, $4 or $5 million on a basketball roster for an NIL, call any of them a Cinderella. And is Cinderella dead? Again, no, I truly don't think Cinderellas are dead. I just believe the years of NIL are coming through. And as I've talked about before, all it takes, all it takes is one alumni from any for any of these mid-major conferences. One alumni who was in, the tournament this year, last year, and they liked that. Maybe they won a game. Maybe they were close to winning a game. And they're sitting there, damn, that was fun. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that more. And then they donate a shit ton of money. That's sometimes that's all it takes to just boost it up, especially in this NIL era now. And so I'm not thinking that Cinderellas are dead. I just think our definition of Cinderellas are going to change because let's be real. Are you going to be able to compete if you're not spending $1 million minimum on NIL? Are you going to be able to compete? Yeah, maybe. We saw some pretty solid games. Hofstra gave Alabama a fighting. Siena gave Duke a fit. VCU beat UNC. There's possibilities. And, again, give it any day, any round, and we'll see what happens. But I think our definition of what a Cinderella is going to have to change as opposed to what we had a Cinderella being. But again, that's a whole other conversation for a different time. Illinois going up against Iowa and just absolutely having their way with them. I mean, it's been a lot of the teams that are going to win just come out at the end. And I think we do have the best 4 teams in the country, truly. And I mean, an argument can be made about Duke against UConn, but hey, the game's not over till the game's not over. And I think that was an absolute the definition of that. Don't give up on the play. Don't give up on the game just because you think you have it, just because you think there's not enough time on the clock. You still got to execute. You still got to finish it out. And that's just not how Duke's been playing this season. And so UConn, Illinois, Arizona, Michigan, Michigan 1.5 point favorites against Arizona. Illinois 2.5 point favorites going up against UConn. Gonna be a hell of a Final Four. I will be doing a full Final Four breakdown later this week, so just wait for that to get my picks. Although, if you watch this enough, you can probably assume that you know at least one of them. What can you say? I am a little bit predictable in that case. But no, again, I think it's been a great tournament. I think it's going to just continue to be a great tournament. There's a lot more on the line, not only for these schools, but for these kids, especially when you're talking about NIL, transfer portal era of college basketball and the lack of guardrails, if you will. But I think it still sets up a good opportunity for mid-majors to still be in there and keep fighting. They're always going to have those seats in the tournament. They will. They'll always have those seats in the tournament. And hey, if you're allowed to come dancing, why don't you? They'll come out and dance. So, I don't think Cinderellas are dead. I think we're just going to have to change our expectations on Cinderellas. I think that's more it. And one other thing on March Madness before we move on. This is the talk of Cinderellas. Okay, the talk of Cinderellas and people saying that Cinderellas are dead. Cinderellas are done in this form that we know them as. And with what we have NIL and the NIL era, the transfer portal era, super teams are going to stay super teams. Power teams are going to stay the power teams. Yes, absolutely. And that is exactly why we should not expand this tournament. That is exactly why we shouldn't expand this tournament. You think there's no Cinderellas now? Holy shit. Can you imagine talking about 124 teams or however many they're really proposing adding? I mean, it's the round of 64. How many realistically do you want to add? If you double it, I mean, you're in for an extra 2 weeks on top of that. Then you run into a lot of scheduling issues, just like college football has right now. That needs to get fixed, by the way. But again, we can spend all summer griping about that. will it be listened to? And I think that's the most telling part about why they shouldn't expand is the amount of complaints I've heard. And everybody has really heard and spoken about the lack of Cinderellas. If the decision makers aren't listening to that, then they're missing the boat. Will they still get good viewership? Yes. Will it, bring in a little bit more extra revenue? Yes. Especially that first year. That first year you go with the expanded tournament, the bigger brackets and everything like that. You start putting in more buys, but you get more fan bases involved and you get this and that. Yeah, the first year especially, a lot of excitement and a lot of good views, but that will get old quickly. That will get old quickly. 3 weeks. 3 weeks of March Madness. First of all, if you're in a relationship, is more than enough. Yeah, my wife is getting about done with the whole college basketball season and everything, and I completely understand where she's coming from. We got other shit to do, but hey, this is what's going on right now. And God bless her, she's lovely with that. Anyway. They need to know. They need to know what's going on. And college football, even, we're not going to be finished with the season next year until February or late January. It's ridiculous. And we're already bleeding into April with March Madness. And it's starting to, the the Final Four and the national championship happening in April. I get it's in the first week, but again, let's cut it back a little bit. Let's figure something out, so that we're staying kind of in these timelines, so that the transfer portal makes sense, so that coaches who get fired, who need to get hired, a timeline there makes sense and everything, allows the kids that need to transfer. And again, basketball is a little bit different. Not really different, because they're still dealing with the whole, the same Wild Westness, I guess you could say, of college football NIL, where you can pay whatever you want and transfer portal is a mess and all of that, but it's less players. Yeah, it's less players on the team, on the bench in general. And so, yes, you're still carrying more than an NBA team, but still not nearly as many as a college football team. And so it's still bad, just not as bad, because it's not as big, not as many players leaving your team every year, but still a lot of shakeup there. All of that needs to get figured out, but let's not extend the tournament. Okay. Let's definitely make sure we don't do that. Okay. Let's make sure we don't do that. Next thing coming up. This has been a wild story. Happened on Friday afternoon. Tiger Woods, in a car accident, flips his vehicle, arrested later on that day for DUI and failure to produce, I believe the charge was, which is essentially he declined to take a urine test after blowing zeros in a breathalyzer test. Police officers still thought that he was intoxicated at that point. Full details on the affidavit from TMZ. He told the police officers he was distracted by the radio or his phone, didn't realize until it was too late to avoid a collision. Driver of other vehicle, Jeremy Bullard, helped Tiger Woods get out along with another individual. Tiger Woods was sweating profusely, lethargic and slowly moving with severe signs of impairment. Police observed eyes bloodshot, glassy. Tiger Woods, extremely alert, was traveling from his home 5 minutes away to hydrocodone pills. Hydrocodone, excuse me. I bet that's hydrocodone. We'll see. Were found in his pocket. Told police no alcohol, no illegal drugs had been taken. Was limping and stumbling, citing his 7 back surgeries and 20 leg operations. He was wearing compression socks. Had bagged hiccups, around $5,000 in property damage, taken to the hospital, refused any treatment. Court appearance in late April. It has been announced now per ESPN and multiple other news outlets that Tiger Woods has also, let me read this to just confirm. Where is it? Tiger Woods pleads not guilty to DUI hours after authorities say he had opiates in his pocket. God, this sucks. At the end of the day, like this sucks. Tiger Woods, and it's one of those things. Where does the athlete stop and the person start? the Hulk Hogan, the whole thing. And yeah, it all gets messy. And Tiger Woods, not his first encounter with car issues, you could say. We all remember that night his lovely wife chased him with a 9-iron. Then a couple years back when he did flip his vehicle yet again and had to get more surgeries and was out for majors that year. And now we're dealing with this. Wild, dude. Wild how we keep getting here. And you want to believe Tiger, don't you? You want to believe that Tiger wasn't drinking, wasn't on any drugs, illicit drugs or anything, didn't want to provide the urine sample for whatever reason. Let the justice system play it out. Court appearance in late April. So later in April, it doesn't conflict with the Masters. I'm just saying. Granted, his limping, stumbling, citing the back surgeries and everything. It's all very real what Tiger's dealing with and what his body's at and what's going on. Clearly, something is happening with Tiger Woods where Tiger Woods needs some kind of help. Hope he gets it. God bless the man. But something else is going on in Tiger Woods' life, and it probably won't come out until long after he's dead and someone else is on a podcast or something like that talking about his time with Tiger Woods, the real Tiger Woods, as they're probably going to say, or something. Netflix documentary going to come out on that. But it's a sad situation overall. And not only for Tiger Woods, the other driver involved, a scary situation. Glad everyone's okay and nothing serious came of this, but still, it's sad to see your heroes go down this road and see what happens and everything, especially, everyone was really excited after how he was in the TGL and he was actually playing and reports that he was going to play in the Masters. And now, obviously, that more than likely not happening. Granted, who was the guy a couple of years ago the Masters let in? Oh, that had a record. Who was that? Because he was in prison, right? He's a former Masters champion. Oh, why is that name escaping me? I can see his face. All right. Well, I let AI think. End of the day, Angel Cabrera, that's what it was. That's what it was. Convicted in Argentina's on domestic violence. That's what it was. Served 2 years. Anyway. So, not out of the Masters realm to let someone play like this. He is a former Masters champion, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with that again. Hope he gets the help he needs. Clearly, something is going on there, but just sad overall. Sad news for golf. Sad news for Tiger Woods. Obviously, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy sad. But from that, let's move on to. Because you just can't. You can't go a week. You can't go a month without the NFL being in the news cycle. And we do have the league meetings that will be wrapping up tomorrow out here in Phoenix, Arizona, where teams are meeting, people are getting along, things are being talked about, and new rules are being approved by the competition committee. Now, the tush push not talked about at these meetings, not something that was referenced whatsoever and probably won't be referenced again for a while. With that being said, a couple of, special team stuff that's been figured out, but it's something that's not making me feel too good. I'll be honest with you. Something that's not making me feel too good. Tom Pelissero comes out. NFL owners have approved 4 rule changes per source by the competition committee to permit the kicking team to declare an onside kick at any time during the game. Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting closer to what the onside kick used to be and the glory of what was the onside kick. Need to bring back the surprise element somehow, and I feel like the fact that where everyone's lining up, it should still be relevant. Maybe you change what an onside kick is, where the ball needs to land, and what happens to make it safe. But still, we're moving in the right direction with the onside kick. And, we can still maybe see, a second half, come out in the second half, hit an onside kick, open up the game with a second half or whatever. But I like what we're doing with the onside kick. Hopefully we're bringing it back to glory. Slowly but surely, hopefully we're bringing it back to glory. Also confirmed to eliminate the kicking team's incentive to initially kick the ball out of bounds when kicking off from the 50-yard line. Modify the kickoff alignment requirements for receiving team players in the setup zone. Graphs and everything will come about of this, but these are just the rules that have been approved. And so penalties and everything still to come. Now, this is where I start getting concerned. By competition committee for 1 year only to allow the NFL officiating department to correct clear and obvious misses made by on-field officials that impact the game. In the event that there is a work stoppage involving the game officials represented by the NFL Referees Association. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, wow. We are headed towards a referee lockout. We are. We're headed towards replacement refs. This right here, granted, it could be me speculating too much, having too much thoughts of what was the 2012 year where we had the replacement refs, the Fail Mary and everything like that. But this is two things. One, this is the NFL covering their ass so that they don't have nearly as bad of calls as they did during the last lockout in 2012. They are covering their ass by essentially kicking it up to the boss. You know what I mean? These are going to be, they're treating them, think about your job. Think about your job. You know what I mean? You just started your first corporate job. You got to do reports and stuff like that. You're not just going to do a report and send it out to the client immediately. No. You're going to do the report, send it to your manager. Your manager is going to review it, tell you where you fucked up, and you're going to rewrite it and send it back out. And that's going to keep happening. That's essentially what they're doing here. They're treating the replacement refs not as full officials. They're going to treat them essentially as interns, which I do think is going to be better for the brand and provide better calls and better game than what was 2012. What this is also doing is putting a lot of pressure on the Referees Association, not only with the threat of, hey, we just can cover our ass with the replacement refs for a year if we really need to and get this going until we get the deal we want. But if I'm also the Referees Association, this is the NFL trying to essentially get ABS involved in football. And we'll get to ABS later, but that's it's interesting to me that of the wording. Obvious misses made by on-field officials. Now, obvious misses, okay, that can be, again, very subjective with NFL officiating and everything like that. But with that being said, it's to prevent another Fail Mary from happening. And I get that. That's good outline there. But what I'm thinking as well is this is going a step further. And there's also, a quick instant replay, what we have now where, the play's reviewed, hey, pick up that flag, it wasn't holding or something like that. Save teams challenge it, yada, yada, yada. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. And from what is being said, that the NFL is starting to look at and is going to be starting to hire replacement refs on. It's very interesting and very, I think, telling. And not only that, a memo sent out by the NFL going into the league meeting say, hey, hush, hush, no talks about what's going on with the NFL and the NFL Referees Association or anything like that. Mum's the word. And you saw it in interviews all week long with the McAfee show being there, having head coaches on and GMs on and such. It'll be interesting. Obviously, I think everyone hopes that we don't go towards a referee stoppage of work or a non-agreement on a new deal, because we do remember what happened back in the day. We do remember what 2012 was, and that was hell. That was hell in a handbasket. However, hey, you got to make money and got to do what it's worth. And again, being an official is not an easy job whatsoever. Do I think they should be full-time? Yes. Do I think they should have to do more training and they should be held to a higher standard and they should have repercussions for their actions in the games? Yes, absolutely. With that being said, we should still make sure the best are officiating the best. And that's what the NFL officials do. We may not agree with every call. They might miss a lot of calls. But with this inclusion here by the NFL, with the competition committee for this year, in case there is a stoppage, that they can have, New York buzz in and say, hey, yeah, no, pick that flag up. That was not pass interference by any means of the definition or anything like that. Having that ability and then probably trying to work some version of that into because from what this is saying is New York has full power. New York can just hop into any game and change a call, which works for the replacement refs, not going to work for the officials in the Officials Association. And so how they're going to word that, how they're going to try to pitch that is what I'm very interested to see. I think that's going to be a very big sore spot with the Referees Association, having AI and having New York a little bit more involved in it. We'll see where it goes with it, obviously, but yeah, very interesting what's going on there with the NFL. And another little tidbit that was approved by the NFLPA, the NFL owners. They voted on through a proposal to treat Friday games like a Saturday, Sunday, or Monday game and not Thursday night games, meaning a Friday game wouldn't count towards a team's limit of 2 short week games. It's very relevant this year as Christmas is on a Friday. And so essentially, you go ahead and you play a Friday game. You're not getting that extended bye, or it doesn't count towards. So you can play 2 Thursday night games and then play on the Christmas game on Friday, or So if you're and this really only applies to a few teams. Now, with the Christmas being on a Friday, how much will the NFL want to load up that slate, especially with college football and everything? We'll see what they want to do there, but I'm thinking it affects the Chiefs, it affects the Seahawks, it affects the Ravens, it affects the Bills, it affects the Rams, Packers, maybe Lions, maybe. Like, it only affects so many teams, and so because they're obviously going to want to load up that Friday schedule and then lead it into Saturday and Sunday, because the NFL absolutely loves money. If there's one thing they love, it is money, and they love growth. And growth has been a big thing in the NFL, with the Rams and the 49ers playing in Australia, the second game of the season on a Thursday night. Absolutely wild stuff going on there. Paris is going to be a place that we play later this year. And then this news coming out, which makes sense. I thought it was going to take a little bit longer but I guess you got to get it set up now so that it lines up a little bit more with the Olympics or right after the Olympics. But NFL partners with TMRW Sports and world-class investors and athletes to launch a new professional flag football league, men's and women's. Yes, men's and women's professional flag football leagues set to be launching at the same time. TMRW Sports, as of right now, is the part of the mastermind behind TGL and what you see going on there. So they have experience in starting a sports league. Success, at TGL, it's got its fan base. We'll leave it at that. I enjoy watching the TGL if nothing else is on. That should say a lot. But anyway, yeah, going with men's and women's flag football league professional. This is all about growing the game. This is all about growing the game. And AJ, why is flag football so important to NFL growing the game? Because then you don't need flags and uprights. Pads and uprights. Then you just need something to put around your waist and a ball. Why are we seeing so many foreign basketball players in the NBA, in college basketball? It's because, it's easy to just have a ball and 2 things to throw it into. Same thing with baseball. Why is baseball so popular across the world? Because it's a stick and whatever you can hit a stick with. Hockey. Why is hockey only so relegated to very cold areas and such like that? Why is it not more diverse? Well, it's a very fucking expensive sport. And so, you start thinking about why some sports get popular and some sports are this and that, the other. The football is very popular, but it's very popular in the US. Everywhere else, it's still soccer, it's still rugby, it's still cricket. And so the NFL says, that's cute. We know we are better. And they really are walking around with, we are better. And so having a men's and women's league here opens it up just so wide, because then not only for the men's league, you know what I mean? Maybe you're in high school and you're just not big enough, not strong enough, not fast enough at that time to play, varsity football or get signed by a college. Well, now, hey, maybe try flag out. Maybe you're shifty. Maybe you're a little undersized, so it's harder to get your flag or something. It opens up the door for more opportunities, and knowing that there is a professional opportunity. And with the professional opportunity, it means colleges are going to want to buy into that. And if you don't think colleges aren't going to want to buy into that, I think you're insane. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have found our spring football. Goodbye UFL, XFL, whatever the hell we're calling it now, because this is going to be your new springtime league. This is going to be your new summer league, maybe. This is going to be your let's get started, let's get ready for the NFL, which makes total sense to me. The NFL doesn't need it, and that's fair. That's a fair statement. They post anything on any given day, and it's going to dominate the sports media cycle for at least 24 hours, depending on the news. Maybe they can get 3 days out of it if they really want to. But having then another league, having that other league there that the NFL then owns part of with all these investors and everything. And you can go through the investor list. It's everyone who you would think and a little bit more. But they have their spring league now. They have that next thing that covers more. And so then, let's talk about flag football, huh? And a lot more makes sense. So ESPN with the NFL Network rights and everything. NFL Network, what are they going to want to put on there? They're going to want to be putting on the flag football, and that's going to be accessible through ESPN. Who's going to have first right of refusal to those TV rights? Probably ESPN. And so then you're going to be putting it on one of the biggest sports platforms in the world, arguably the biggest sports platform in the world. I mean, this has the opportunity. This is going to have the media machine behind it to get it popular and to get it exciting, get it started. I think the NFL, this is the expansion move they've been looking for. This is that next step that they were looking for. And yeah, they found a good one here. I think it's going to work. I really do. I think it's going to work. The numbers that came out from the Saudi Arabia flag football fanatics thing came out. They were good. It has the potential to be very popular, I think, especially with it now being introduced in the Olympics and this planning on more than likely. I do not remember if they mentioned a start date. No, they don't mention a start date, but flag football debuting at the Olympics in 2028. I'm assuming it's going to be 2027, 2029, somewhere around that time period. We're going to be seeing this get going and start seeing this move pretty quickly. But interesting move by the NFL. Makes total sense. MLB opening weekend happened, opening day happened, opening night happened with Netflix, which was a lot. But it's that time of the year, man. Go out, have a hot dog, have a beer, sit in the sun, and yell at the umpire. But hey, you don't even have to yell at the umpire anymore because robots are doing it for you. And it's great. It's fantastic. The ABS system officially in MLB baseball regular season. The challenge system, again, pitchers, catchers, and the batters are the only ones that can challenge where the pitch happens to happen immediately after the pitch. And it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic. We've had some ejections already with Aaron Boone and what's his name for the Twins, Derek something. And it's great. It's great. And my big thing with it more than anything is finally the umpires are being held somewhat accountable. Finally somewhat accountable. And I guess you could say the same thing about the challenge system. Like this has started to happen in MLB more than other sports with holding these officials accountable, which, I mean, the MLB umpires, I mean, shoot. Angel Hernandez, anyone? Come on. But it's exposing umpires. It's exposing umpires not having good strike zones. It's exposing them not making good calls. And I think it's a good thing for this sport. I think it provides something else. And it's a very seamless and quick process. They do it already on the TV. And so, yeah, they just kind of make it look a little bit more official. I think it's a great thing for baseball. And baseball continues to be just top tier. Baseball continues to be top tier in making changes to their sports that not only have been nothing but good for the game, but good for the fans as well. You know what I mean? I'm so excited for our first bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, full count, 2 outs, and then it's called third strike. Even if it's an obvious third strike, if you have it, you're challenging that thing. And just a little bit more anticipation. And then the umpire was wrong and the place goes nuts. Oh, baby. It's going to get hot. I love what they're doing with the ABS. And I do think that this is going to be a good thing for baseball overall. And shout out to baseball. They are hitting perfect for changes to the game and affecting it properly. So shout out to the MLB. But yeah. Hey, that is all I got today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to everyone here on Rumble over on YouTube. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit those follow buttons. Does help out a lot more than you know. But with all that being said, I'm the Brofict One AJ. Good luck. God bless. We'll see you next time on Happy Hour Sports Talk.